members, thank you very much for letting me speak. Representative Guerra, thank you for doing the geothermal pun before I could get to it. I'm Ken Wisian, Associate State Geologist for Texas and Associate Director of the Bureau of Economic Geology. I'm a geothermal scientist, have been my whole career. And then also pertinent to some of this, I'm a retired Major General from the Air Force also. So, in recent years, geothermal power has emerged after a long dormancy as a leading energy source for the future. Geothermal done anywhere is at the leading edge of a boom, a world boom right now. This is mostly due to advances in technology from the oil and gas industry, as well as supporting advances in the conversion of heat to electricity. These advances break the geothermal paradigm of having to go where Mother Nature concentrates the heat, which in the US is in the western states, and now enables us to do geothermal economically here in Texas. A desire that's been around for decades, but is only now becoming practical. In Texas, the ripe areas are the Gulf Coast, far east Texas, and far west Texas in the Rio Grande Valley that are productive now. Geothermal power has many advantages, including resiliency, resilience, redundancy, and dispatchability, as well as a small surface footprint. Many of the largest tech companies have signed geothermal contracts now. Most multinational energy companies have at least formed teams to study geothermal, if not actively backing the startups that are leading the charge. And the Department of Defense, starting 2 years ago, jumped in with both feet in a big way and now rates geothermal as their leading new energy source, even above small modular reactors. And note that there are many military bases in the region, some of which are doing feasibility studies. A small one on the south side of Houston called Ellington Field is a shovel-ready military project. Now, the geothermal industry is at a boom point, inflection point, and Texas is perfectly positioned to lead this revolution, not just for the US, but for the world, as we have done in multiple energy revolutions in the future. We can't let off the accelerator, though. And educating a workforce is part of keeping that foot on the accelerator. Right now, for energy professionals, the courses on geothermal training at industry conferences are always completely full. People are very interested in switching over or applying their talents, but what isn't being covered is the upcoming generation on even knowing that this is going to be a great and dynamic field for a lifetime. And so it's not just, by the way, geologists and engineers. This industry will need everything: finance people, logistics, the rig workers and such. So it's a broad band of society that will be part of this energy revolution. I just hope we keep our foot on the accelerator in this case. That's all I have. I'm happy to answer questions.
Members, any questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Representative Garrett.
Go ahead.
Please, sir.
No.
Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Chairman. Major General, I'm retired Air Force as well.
Thank you very
so
much.
much for your service, sir. So I think we see this topic a little differently than most. Would you agree?
Yes, it's a national security issue.
Thank you. That was exactly my question was going to be. What are the national security, I don't want to say implications, but if you will.
Yes, thank you for the question. So the military, and in fact all militaries, have a systemic critical vulnerability in that they depend on civilian power grids to operate. Yes, everybody has generators, but as we saw in the snowpocalypse a few years ago, if you can't get more fuel to the generators, you got a problem. Starting several years ago, myself and others advocated for the Department of Defense to really take a look at geothermal. And they have now. And what they realize is because this new technology, this new approach to geothermal it doesn't vary from kilometer to kilometer how hot it is. If it's good in a region, it's good in a region. So what that means to the military is you can drill your geothermal well inside the base, generate your power, and distribute it in the base. You can guard it, you can protect it. There's no supply line that you have to worry about. It really is a perfect solution to making our military and our national defense more secure from an energy perspective.
Thank you. So, from what I understand, the DoD just recently determined that every single base, they're looking to work with geothermal energy, correct?
I don't know to that extent. Right now, colder areas of the U.S., say upstate New York and such, would not be, they'd probably be prohibitively expensive. But broad areas are viable, and especially here in Texas, in those areas I described a while ago. So I think they will consider it as the first projects turn on in Department of Defense and prove economical. Yeah, they're going to want it everywhere, every base. The scale-up potential from the business point of view is tremendous, and they've recently had essentially a request for qualifications to pre-qualify companies to work directly with DoD and kind of avoid a lot of the normal procurement rules for doing geothermal energy.
Yes, sir. And I just wanted to kind of impress on everybody that when we experienced snowpocalypse, it was hard for me as a military member to wrap my brain around us having an energy failure. And I am overly excited at geothermal possibilities, not only on a national security front, but also to paint the picture to you all. I know sometimes when we think a military base, some folks really don't know what that means. You might have the picture in your mind that it's where you do your basic training and, you know, that's it. But what happens on military bases, think San Antonio, you know, within wires, okay? Think a big city within wires. I mean, I'm talking bowling alleys, daycares, your families live there, auto shops, your hospitals, you know, all of that is what's happening on your military bases. And when we're at a national security climate where we have the opportunity to take something that's potentially a hindrance, which is our wells, right? Our abandoned wells, the ones that we could potentially convert into this forward-thinking geothermal possibility. The temperature's hot in the world, y'all. The temperature is really hot, and this right here would be one of the smartest things that we could do as military state USA, because one thing I like to tell folks is you meet a veteran no matter where you're at in the state. Ask them if they're originally from Texas. A large portion of the time, it's gonna be no. I saw some heads shaking, and it's because Texas holds a national security sentiment for those of us who retire and aren't native Texans. We feel safe here, we feel secure here, and this is just another easy way for us to translate that. So thank you so much, Major General. As you could tell, I'm overly excited about this possibility, and please count on my office. We represent Military City USA. We'd love to be a partner with anybody that's interested.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Morales.
I don't want to be left behind, especially after Josie's comments. I have 2 Air Force bases in my district, Fort Bliss and Laughlin Air Force Base.
Yes, sir.
I'd love to be able to connect with you to see how we inform those folks that are running those bases so that we can get them down that road to exploring the possibility.
You'll be happy to know that Fort Bliss is actively researching geothermal potential right now. We helped a study that's just wrapping up. They are sitting on a pretty good amount of resource.
Yeah. So last session, after the geothermal presentation from Representative Guerra, where he invited the McCallum family, we were able to meet with the University of Texas and those that are managing the PUF. And so they had a map, heat map of the entire state of Texas. And I was just blown back by how great it was for House District 74. I mean, throughout Texas, but specifically for House District 74. I'm a big proponent for it. I'd like to be able to continue to push down that level. And we train the most pilots year in and year out in Laughlin Air Force Base in Del Rio on an annual basis. And so I'd love to be able to explore that. And Ms. Josie is 100% correct. There's actually families that are living there. If we can make those resources, such as utilities, more equitable and more fair, and keep those costs down, I know that the military will definitely, and their families will definitely enjoy this.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Representative Guerra.
Yes. The basic concept behind geothermal, from what I understand, is that the center of the earth is always hot, correct?
Yes, sir. About the same temperature as the surface of the sun.
And so it's a matter of tapping into that resource.
Yes, sir.
year-round. I just wanted to make sure that many of the folks that don't really understand what geothermal is have that concept in their minds.
The rocks in the upper 10 kilometer, 6 miles of the earth are very good heat batteries. They store heat well, and multiple studies have estimated that there's several thousand times our world energy needs in extractable heat energy in that upper 6 miles of the earth if we can just further develop the technology to tap into it. And it's being resupplied constantly by 47 terawatts of energy flowing out from the center of the earth and out into space. So that's our recharge system going on. There's a lot of energy there. What's so exciting, unfortunately, is, it didn't happen 30 years ago when I started in this field, is we're finally bringing it all together to tap into it in a good way.
Are there any communities or countries who have already started this, who are already participating in this technology?
This new generation of technology really is mostly centered here in North America, and within that, mostly in Texas. We are in the catbird seat. Canada also has some startups involved, but most of the startups, the plurality of the startups that are leading the technology charge are here in Texas, Austin and Houston mostly. So yeah, we're world leaders in that. The rest of the world still mostly developing what's called conventional geothermal, or the old school geothermal energy.
And so for areas that have not that much rock structure below the surface, this makes all the sense in the world, correct?
There are variations in how much heat depending on where you are. East of the Rockies in the U.S., the real heat band is Texas and Louisiana, the level that's hot enough to probably be profitable right now. But as the technology continues marching forward, as it's doing at a heck of a pace right now, then potentially all of the earth opens up. There are companies that are experimenting to drill 10 miles down, which would make it possible to get to good heat anywhere. Those are being field tested in a very early stage right now. So potentially everywhere. For right now, Texas is in the driver's seat.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your testimony, General. This time, is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3125?